All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army Match Week 18. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where some things we will touch on include Rayan Cherki, Emery or Arteta, and Amorim finally did the thing. Halftime will be a pop quiz on the U.S. men's national team at World Cup 2026. Around the world, might touch on AFCON, plus maybe some MLS news and notes. We'll see how much time we got. And then stoppage time with having Tony's best bets and everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties. We will start with Mr. Mitchell Goulet, a.k.a. Overtime Mitch. We got New Year's coming up. What's your resolutions for 2026?
Every time I watch a sports game, I want to take a couple notes on it. Whether it's a basketball game, a football game, I want to just take notes. I have a notebook I already got for it. And each page is going to have one game's worth of notes because I want to be able to look back on my year in watching sports. I'm going to try to do one a day. I think I usually watch at least a sports game a day in some form. And it'll just be an interesting diary to keep throughout 2026.
For someone who hates the written word, that I never in a million years would have guessed.
I don't hate the written word, and you trying to push the narrative that I do is just wrong. I hate your written word sometimes. No, not all the time. I hate your specific writing style. Sometimes.
I've noticed.
Gives me the biggest fucking head. You guys have no idea what our group texts look like.
Discord does. Discord has an idea. Listen, I like to use a few words here and there when I want to, not all the time. All right, Tyler Nathaniel, if that is your real name, Tyler Terrence. What's your 2026 New Year's resolution?
I don't know if it's as much as a resolution as it is a goal, but I want to publish and put out and have it on the shelves, Tommy Brewster, The Adventures of, title TBD, but I want to have published a book by the end of 2026. That is the resolution.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Resolutions and goals, I would say they're pretty much synonymous. So I will accept that as
By the way,
as New Year's
I feel as if Mitchell saying he hates your written word is like pretty core to like who you are. Like you don't only like write and like your captions are sort of become like legendary within our small niche of like American soccer landscape, but you also write for like a living. And so I feel like him saying that he hates your written word would be like, I hate your commentary voice, Tyler. I hate your voice. That would be the equivalent.
It felt very personal. It felt very targeted. But at the same time, I accept it. I know that Mitch doesn't hate me as a person.
No, I don't.
You just get a little annoyed when I get wordy.
I need to amend that statement because it was said in frustration. I think your written word and your prose is one of the most unique things about you. I've never met anybody like it. Okay? And an artist's job is to elicit emotion. And your writing elicits emotion from me just about every time. So you're an excellent artist, and that's how I'll spend that.
I also think that our vast following, and by vast following I mean that all of you sickos out in the Discord and the podcast land, but on top of that, the 70,000 followers that we have on Instagram has sort of gotten to Sam's head over the years, and I feel like he thinks that he gets paid by the word, and none of us get paid for anything. So I also think that that's part of the issue.
I promise you that's not it. It's just my style to be a little verbose and a little wordy. But listen, honestly, because of Mitch, I've actually tried to cut down a little bit, almost exclusively.
I haven't noticed.
I don't think
you wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't notice, but I do promise you there's sometimes I'll be like, am I going to add that extra sentence? No, I'm not going to. I don't want to piss off Mitch. So there you go.
I think you should, in 2026, you should add it. Get it back. I don't want to dull your spark. I really don't. I still want to resolve or retain my right to be upset about it, but I don't want to change the way you communicate just because it makes me fucking furious.
But you're not the only one, though. You're not being selfish in that goal.
That's true. I feel like I just call him out the most.
No, Sam's resolution should be like once a day he should try to cut whatever long, lengthy novel of a text that he's sending to us down in half. One of those a day.
Yeah. Just communicate in the most efficient way possible, like once.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good resolution. I'm going to add it to my list that it didn't include anything else. I just have that. And so maybe it'll work for a week or two. Probably not. Probably not. We'll see though. It's good. It's good to have goals. All right, boys and girls. Before we hit Premier League quickly, this is your New Year's resolution. Should be number one on the list to join the Sam's Army Patreon, so you get access to the Discord that we're always talking about with all of the sickos and this awesome little soccer community. There's all the other stuff, Tommy's Brain, his blogs, hopefully they come back, and extra episodes, blah, blah, blah. But really it's the Patreon. Get you access to the Discord and these live streams for the podcast tapings. So there you go. $3.99 a month, Sam's Army Patreon. All right, Premier League. So a lot of interesting results this week, I would say. Start off with United beating Newcastle 1-0. Chelsea lost to Villa. Palace gave Dr. Tottenham came to town and actually didn't cure anybody. We actually got a win. Forest lost to City. Arsenal beat Brighton, etc., etc., etc. Tyler, I want to go with you first. Which of the results stood out to you most, and why?
It has to be Chelsea and Villa, and it's not just the result, but it's the way in which it happened, the same way that it has been happening for Unai Emery and Aston Villa, which has come from behind, which is winning by a goal, which is turning it on in the last 15, 20 minutes. Almost like a rope-a-dope type of situation, I feel like they engage in most 90 minutes, is that like teams kind of batter them in the first 60 to 70 minutes of the game, and Villa tries to sort of hold onto the ball. They like dare them to come and press them a little bit, and I think that the opposition expends a lot of energy, and then Villa's just like a little bit too much and fit, and they're not particularly deep, but Ollie Watkins comes off the bench in this game and scores 2 goals, and that was the huge storyline coming into the game, is that arguably a potential starting number 9 for England if Harry Kane isn't healthy is coming off the bench in one of the biggest games of the year. But this Villa team, man, like they know each other so well, and it's really fun to watch. And I think that we have to really be having a conversation about where Unai Emery stacks up as one of the best managers in Europe. I'm not just talking about the Premier League, but he, given what he has done over the years, whether it's with Sevilla, whether it's with Villarreal, whether it's with Aston Villa now, like this dude knows how to coach and knows how to get the best out of his team. And this result against Chelsea, and I think that we already kind of have known what Villa are all about for the past 11 straight games, which hasn't happened in over 110 years for the club. But like, we just still can't figure out who Chelsea are. And I think part of that is that they don't know who they are, and their youth and their inexperience and their consistency is kind of their personality right now. And that's who they are, is that you could get 45 minutes of like just downright sexy, good, physical, fluid football, and then you can get 25 minutes of dog shit that leads to an utter collapse at home. So I just, fascinating game. And Villa, the fact that they got it done again in the same fashion that they've got it done in like 8 of the 11 games that they've won in this streak is phenomenal.
Right. If you'd put a gun to my head going into this game and said, how do you think this game's going to go? Just based on sort of how Aston Villa has been playing and the games have been going, I would have guessed exactly this. Chelsea scores, Villa plays possum essentially for, first 60 minutes, and then, comes back and wins. They've been doing it so much. You touched on so many important points there. Unai Emery, Ollie Watkins. Watkins has been like a revelation. I basically said, like, people typically, lose a step over the course. He's like gained a step. Somebody said in the Discord, well, he probably just got healthy, which is actually a very fair point. But yeah, Watkins is, scoring left and right, and that's exactly what. And not just him. They have Malen. They have a bunch of guys that can score for this team. Rogers has been incredible, obviously, lately. They just have such a good team, and it's so consistent because they didn't really make any big signings in the summer. I think they brought in one player, Gesand, who hasn't done that much, and like they've just been a consistent team. They started out so slow. I think they went winless in their first 5, and then they've just gone on this incredible tear. It's insane. The quick question, this might be just sort of, I don't know, it feels like an Insta or like a TikTok gotcha type question for the Tweedle here. But like, Emery or Arteta right now, who would you prefer as your manager?
It's still Arteta. We can acknowledge Emery doing a fantastic job without disparaging what Arteta's done. This is the year for that. Don't worry. I do think I walked out of that game though, thinking, oh, Villa are the second biggest threat to the league, right behind City. I don't think Chelsea are, despite their place in the table, I don't think Chelsea are their biggest threat to us. It's obviously City, and we'll get into that during that game. But Villa are damn good, and they know who they are. It's a really good point, Tyler, that I don't think it's their game plan to go down early and then come back 2-3-1, but they seem to be trusting the rhythm that they want to play with over the course of 90 minutes. And you could see a flip switch during that 60th minute substitution when Watkins came on and a couple other guys came on as well. The strategy changed, the point of attack changed, their intensity changed, and they knew that like, hey, this is our 30 minutes to win this game, and it's scary, especially for us, a team that drops off around the 60th minute. So, not looking forward to Tuesday, I'll be honest.
I was gonna say, it's a good teaser for the week coming up, which so we actually have 2 full match days. This festive fixture, season is interesting, but we've got 2 full match days coming up, Tuesday and Thursday. That's one match day, and then Saturday and Sunday. And I believe it's Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, it's Tuesday. Arsenal and Aston Villa are kind of the headliner, which we'll get to the preview in a little bit. Yes, great start, good call out, Tyler. Mitch, what result, if any, sort of comes to mind after that?
Let's talk about Liverpool. Let's talk about some players finding some form against maybe the worst team in Premier League history, but it's a Premier League team nonetheless, and it's a 4-1 win nonetheless. I think Wirtz, for the first time in a long time, looked like a damn good midfielder. I really like the way he played that game. Ekitike is him. Ekitike is a very good ball player, and he is what everyone had hoped Isak would be. I don't know if it's just because they played Wolves, but Liverpool looked good. They looked like they were having fun out there.
It's important you point out that they're playing against Wolves. But
yeah, I mean, that's the most important asterisk you could add to this, but they look good.
We still made it look relatively strenuous towards the end. I mean, I think most people expected them to run away with it after they scored 2 goals in 90 seconds or whatever it was. And especially with Wirtz getting his first goal. And keep in mind, he did get his first assist the game before that too. So dare I say he's cooking a bit. Just a wee bit, our German friend.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Frimpong looks like a new man coming off of injury.
Yes.
He has settled in. I think he gets it.
I think he's I think he's fine now. I picked him up in FPL like a week or 2 ago because I was like, "Ooh, this is the point in the season where he's going to start hitting his stride."
Good pickup for Jeremy Frimpong in fantasy. Not that I would know anything about good pickups or saving changes that I made to my lineup, which I 100% thought I saved, but apparently didn't. But anyway, that's for another segment, another time. I was thinking about things that I wanted to say about Liverpool coming onto the pod, but then I just had to hammer it into my own brain. They played Wolves. Don't get too excited about it. It's like when I remember when I scored my first collegiate goal as a freshman with my right foot, no less, which Sam knows is quite the feat for me, considering my right foot is typically just used for standing on. My dad humbled me a little bit like the following day, and he goes, "Relax, it was against Bard College, pal." And he was right. It was against Bard College. So that's what we're trying. That's the mentality we're coming in here with. It's great that Wirtz scored, but he did score against a League One side. So,
yep.
Fair point. Listen, a win is a win these days. As a Tottenham fan, I can definitely say that. Other results, John in the Discord pointed out 3 straight Premier League wins for Fulham. Fair point. I wouldn't say any of them were particularly impressive, but as I just said, wins are wins.
And doing
in
it
the Premier
without
League.
Cassie,
Right,
and Alex Iwobi.
Yeah, good shout as well. Now on the Spurs, so we won. Of course, it was away from home because obviously it wouldn't be a win at home. Was it like it was the ugliest win imaginable? We played like absolute dog shit for the first at least 50 or 60 minutes. We did score a goal. We actually almost scored 3. 2 of our goals were waved off by like literal millimeters on offsides. So it was one of those weird games. Whereas like the narrative coming out of that game would have been a lot different if Richarlison's both goals had counted, and it would have been a 3-0 away win at Palace. That's just impressive, period. But with the 1-0 win, where we didn't play very well, we didn't really create that much other than the 2 that were waved off, and then kind of a freaky goal on Archie Gray's. Like it just, this team still doesn't feel like we're cooking. It doesn't feel like we're back. It doesn't feel like, if there's one criticism I have for Frank, it seems like the players don't come out like itching to play. They just, there seems no like, just let's fucking go do this. Even against Arsenal, where we were, if there's a game that you should be up for, it's that. And we looked like we were just like, thought we were going to lose 4-1 or 5-1 or whatever the fucking score was. So like, I just don't get like a feeling of like the players are out there like pumped up, ready to go. We got to win. And that win was so important. Like if we had lost that game, I mean, the Discord chat, they've already turned big time on Frank. There's a couple guys who are very hardcore Frank out at this point. And I feel like I'm kind of like the one voice in the chat room. Like, I just think it's too soon. I think he's proven to be a good manager based on his time at Brentford. They then say, well, Brentford got better without him. Okay, fair point. But like, I think still the team that he assembled and the system that he instituted there is at least partially to blame for that. But I just think it's too soon to really get on board the Frank out thing. I do I do hope and pray that he comes good and he figures this out. And I do think he will. And results like this, like, they give you a little something to build off of, but not much. The performance itself, not much. The result was much better than performance. I'll leave it. I'll sort of say that. Now, do anybody else want to take some pot shots at Spurs here, or do we move on?
Mazel tov on the win.
Yeah, it was so ugly, but win's a win, especially away at Palace. That's not nothing. Other results from the week: Arsenal 2-1 over Brighton, solid win. City beating up on.
We're really going to see a solid win for Arsenal if they win off an own goal yet again. Like we're really
Are we really
going to ignore the fact that this group would be literally sitting in third place right now if it wasn't for their best player Owen goal?
Okay,
it's enough already. It's enough.
We can get into the conversation without just throwing jabs right off the bat. No, he's right. I'm upset with the delivery, but the message is pretty spot on. We struggled to create chances, and the own goals are a product of like a pretty well orchestrated just attack of relentless okay chances, and they've ended up with some favorable bounces, but we drop off every single game in the second half for at least 20 minutes. And I'm less and less confident that we can sustain a season full of winning if we continue to drop off for that significant a chunk every single game. We're lacking goal scoring, and maybe I'll give Gabby Jesus some time to acclimate back from injury, being out for months and months. Gyökeres needs to step it up. He needs to, that chance that fell to him early on his strong foot, a bouncing ball with no bodily pressure on him, and he goes to like place it. That's a finish that comes off when you're in form, but looks really, really bad when you don't have confidence as a striker. And that's where he's sitting at right now. I don't think he's getting enough chances per game to feel like he's got his shooting boots on. And that's a problem for your striker. He does a great job of pressing. He does a great job of drawing attention when he's in the box, but I don't think when the ball comes to him, he's really answered that call this season. So hopefully that picks up in the second half of the season. Declan Rice is a top 5 player in the world. And I don't think that's a super hot take. He is the reason that we are where we are in the table right now. He's the captain of this team. Like, he is just an unbelievable footballer for 90 full minutes. He's the only one week in and week out that look like they're playing to win the league during those games. Now, Brighton was a weaker team, but we all know what Brighton can do. They're the most middle of the table team that we've seen in the last 5 years. And I've always said that they're kind of a mirror of who they play. They get results against teams that they're better than, and they lose to teams that are better than they are. We give up weird goals and they capitalize, but I do ultimately think that like own goals deserve our goal of the month.
You've also had some difficulties with Brighton, I believe, over the years. So
yeah, they've been a little bit of a boogeyman.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially during this just congested fixture, holiday season, like a win is a win is a win. And it's even more so during this kind of like, all these games.
This own goal thing has been going on for Arsenal for the past few weeks. It's not just on the congested schedule aspect of it. I don't know. I feel like.
No, but I do think Mitch actually had a point there that the own goals come from a concerted amount of pressure. Typically, you don't. Every now and again, you get just a random bounce, but oftentimes own goals come because you basically are putting the pressure on that team.
But like this amount is like unprecedented.
It's fair.
We're going to regress to the mean after a little while, but if it's the ball's not falling on a defensive leg or body, then maybe it's falling on an attacking leg or body. And we end up being the ones that kick it in the back of the net. I think we put a lot of balls in really close, whether it be from set pieces, from cutbacks. We play a lot in the other team's 18-yard box, and when you have the ball in the other team's box a lot, you're going to get a bounce or two every now and then. It's disproportionately falling to Owen at this point in our season, but I think that could regress after a little while, and maybe it starts falling to Victor or Kai or Gabriel,
Anthony actually had an interesting question or point in the chat. I think Arteta has to be sacked.
Yeah.
He fails to deliver the league. After 6 years of building a squad that he wanted, he has to deliver now. So that's kind of the point I made when I predicted Arsenal to win the league this year. I kind of said, like, if he doesn't do it this year, he might not do it. And you might. What do you think about that, Mitch?
I don't want to think about it. I'd like to stay in the mindset that we're going to win the league, but I'll be realistic and say that if we don't win the league, yeah, we probably have to move on.
I suppose that it depends how it goes down. If you really fade down the stretch, then for sure.
Would you hire Unai Emery back?
We'll see what Villa do towards the end of the season. There's a business end of the season to play. I'm not gonna say no though. I've been known to go back to an ex.
Never say never. It was. That was well played. But it was, Tyler did say when he was sort of listing off Unai Emery's, accolades and his resume, Villarreal, Valencia, Aston Villa, he didn't mention Arsenal when he was talking.
For good reason.
Yeah.
I know. Excuse me. All right. Other games quickly. Man United, won 1-0 over Newcastle at home. The big talking point here was after however many weeks or even months of everybody being like, Amorim's got to change his system. He's got to be more flexible and all. He's being like, this is my system. This is my system. You got to, I'm going to win, lose, or draw with it. He changed his system. He went to the 4-back and they won. And this isn't a game that he was playing without Bruno. He was playing without Kobe Mainu. I mean, like he was, and all the guys that are away on Amad Diallo, etc., on AFCON duty, and he won. I don't know, Tyler. Any thoughts on whether this is like a turning point for them, or if this is just sort of a one-off? Who even knows?
Sorry, I was trying to look up a game that I went to that I think Unai Emery might have been the coach of. I actually not 100% sure. Remind me what team you're saying?
United and Amorim changing to a 4-back.
I feel like people want to believe that this is like something that he's doing because he realizes what he was doing wasn't working. But like you said, I do think that there's some missing pieces and reasons why he's having to do it right now. I think I said this last week, or maybe it was on SiriusXM. I don't know. I talk a lot about soccer all the time, and I just sort of forget and black out whenever I make any sort of opinion on anything. But I think that their system has been actually working even when it was in the 3-back and in the Christmas tree bullshit. Like working is a relative word. It has looked much better, and I wasn't necessarily over the past few weeks crying out for him to change because I couldn't see what was going on the same way that it was happening towards the end of last year, where it was like I didn't know what they were, and everybody was like, "Oh, trust the system," blah 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 blah. And I was like, "Fuck you! You can't tell me that like it's rain. I'm getting pissed on and it's raining right now because like it looked terrible." I still am not like I'm still not 100% convinced with anything that's going on over there. It has looked better. And I'm not trying to sound like Bruce Arena here, but like, what do we talk like with tactics and formation and everything like that? There are principles of the game that each coach preaches in terms of like how it wants to look. The formation is just simply the bones of what ultimately should be this, just representing the soul of a team. So whether or not Manchester United has a soul remains to be seen. But if it's any reflection of their ownership group, then they don't have a soul. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
That's fair. Maybe the more interesting sort of aspect of this win and of him switching to the 4-back system was his quotes after the game, when he basically admitted he didn't switch sooner because if he did, it would have looked like journalists and the media had basically forced him to, and he would have then lost the dressing room. That was actually what he said in the post-game presser, which I kind of blew my mind on that. I don't even know what to think about that, but certainly it feels like a little you're grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory. You finally got a win and you change the system, and then you're saying I didn't change sooner just because of the media, which is just mind-blowing to me. I don't know. It doesn't speak highly of sort of his grasp of what's going on, though. I'll say that. Anything else? Any other games? City, Rayan Cherki has been, I mean, it was a slow start to the season. I know Mikey was just ready to bury him. For some reason, I feel like he's on that list of players like John McGinn, who he just has like a hate boner, like an inexplicable hate boner for.
I can't watch John McGinn anymore without Mikey's voice in the back of my head. He's rude. And I actually used to like John McGinn. But now
I still like him. Maybe I like him more because of Mikey's hate boner for him. But Cherki's playing really well, which I think does bring up the question, especially with the way that Calvert-Lewin has been playing for Leeds and scoring left, right, and center. Well, actually just center right in front of the goal, but every game pretty much. Who for you, Mitch, is the signing of the season right now? Obviously tentative, interim, but Cherki, you got Xhaka, you got DLC, any of those or somebody else? DCL.
I think given the impacts to their team, I think it's Ekitike. But I mean, Xhaka's the reason that Sunderland are in any conversations but a relegation one right now. Unfortunately, I really like Rayan Cherki. I have watched a lot of highlights from him back at Lyon, and he's a player that I know if I were a younger player, I would have really tried to emulate growing up. He's just one of those players that has a level of sauce to him and a way that he maneuvers that is just very, very cool to me. And that makes me like him as a player. So, we can put him in that conversation as well. I think if I had to give a title to signing of the season right now, it's Ekitike. But DLC is going to give Kane some problems or give Kane some conversations. Same with Ollie Watkins.
Fair. Yes, Ekitike is a good shout. Where would they be at this point with the way that Isak's signing has gone down? Tyler, any thoughts on Cherki or that whole situation?
Great signing. Took a little bit of time to settle in. Mm-hmm. I mean, most signings do. I think there's very few who have just sort of stumbled into the Premier League and started really well and continued really well. Most recent one that I can think of is Luis Diaz. You can't really show me any other that sort of like started off red hot and was a solid contributor. Like Omar Marmoush came in for Manchester City and started out really well, and then I think really, really leveled off, and to the point where like he's not even a first choice starter for Pep anymore. But yeah, I think that he's a huge reason why Manchester City have sort of been able to endure this transitional period, which is very much what it is. And it's just, I like Granit Xhaka a lot. I don't know if I'm singularly going to put it on him to say like, why. Like speaking of souls of a team, like I adore Sunderland in the way that they play. I really do. And I think that Jacques is a huge part of that in terms of like best new signing for this year. I think that right now it's difficult to argue with Cherki.
Okay. Fair. And quickly on that Sunderland, it was an interesting game. They played against Leeds. And, this is a Leeds team that I think at least maybe a few weeks ago, I think there were a lot of concerns about whether they were going to be able to stay up this year. They just couldn't score goals. But, Calvert-Lewin has stepped up, and that sort of totally changes the outlook for that team. And so that game, 1-1 draw between Sunderland and Leeds, it really felt like Leeds was playing up to the level of where Sunderland has been playing pretty much all season, which is higher than we were all expecting, as opposed to like Sunderland playing down to a team like, near the relegation zone. So that was an interesting game, and it'll be interesting to see. Sunderland and Leeds both look like Sunderland has looked like this the whole season, but Leeds lately, they do not look like a team that is about to go down. And the bottom three at the moment, it does seem like they're
in a class of their own, the bottom three right now.
Right. And so it's the two that you would, well, not the two you expect. Wolves is just awful. I don't know anybody saw this level of awfulness coming, but they're terrible. Burnley, you would have expected they'd be kind of in the bottom three. West Ham is the one that's like, wow, like what's going on here? Because Wolves, their talent has been sold off for parts, and they just have not come back. They were able to bounce back many times and just sort of eke over the line. That's obviously not going to happen this year. They're on 2 points right now from 18 games, which is incredible. West Ham, though, and Nuno, who, I think we all still think he was doing a good job at Forest, and the Marinakis situation, obviously, just didn't work out. It is not working out at West Ham so far. I don't even know if he's going to last the season at this point. If they don't make some serious moves, obviously they're going to try by somebody in January. But that is a tough spot. Did we forget anything? Burnley Everton 0-0. Yikes! Bournemouth getting their ass handed to them by Brentford 4-1. What happened to Bournemouth? I know that they've had some injuries, but remember we were talking about Bournemouth and Sunderland.
And Brentford's a decent team.
That's true. That's true. And what's his name? Kevin Schade has scored a hat trick. No big deal. But still, Bournemouth has fallen off right now. They're in.
Not as good for like a hat trick a season at this point. Didn't he score one last year too?
Yeah.
I think he did. Bournemouth now is on 22 points in 15th place. I feel like they were like on 22 points in like 5th place like a few weeks ago.
They haven't won since October 26th. They started the season off hot and are quietly just really, really going downhill.
Struggling big time. It's like Leeds and Bournemouth, who are both like right in that relegation battle. It feels like they're in and heading in different directions. All right. FPL update. Let's hand out some flowers to certain people. Mikey, I guess we just got to keep giving him his love. He keeps doing well. I think I don't know what he's in right now in like the big time league. I know he's in second in the Sam's Army podcast league behind Thomas Seneth, who Chic Servants. You are a hell of an FPL player. Council of Elders, Mikey obviously up top, Tommy second, Mitch third, me in fourth, and the Ghost of Darwin in 5th place. Gonna need to make some moves there, Tyler. Sam's Army Discord sickos, Mikey up top. He's taking over the lead over Matthew Perry. Works so good. Dalton Kemper is in 3rd. Los Poros Hermanos, Tim Marks in 4th. And Mo Kudus, Mo Problems, Dave K in 5th. Also, shout out to I had to give who was it that said I couldn't pronounce their name in the Discord chat? Oh, Power Rangers. Adam Furtado. There you go. I pronounced it probably wrong, but whatever. I pronounced it. All right. Big week, as touched on earlier. Big week this next 7 days. We actually have 2 match days, Tuesday and Thursday. And it's going to start out with the big one on Tuesday, Arsenal and Aston Villa. So, Mitch, you teased it earlier. What are your thoughts going into this game?
I'm nervous. I think we are in an okay place right now, and I do think we still have the squad to go and win this league, but we drop off during a time where Villa tend to turn on every single week, and that makes me nervous. We've not been scoring early enough for my liking. Odegaard scored early in this past game, but overall we don't look like we want to come out and win the game in the first 20 minutes, which is something that we saw success with earlier in the season. So I'm nervous. I won't lie. I think Gyökeres needs to step it up. Injuries have kind of not gone away for us. Gabriel's back. Gabriel Jesus is back. I'd like to see Eze involved on Tuesday, but yeah, I'm being pretty cautiously optimistic about this one.
Cautiously optimistic. I thought you were going to...
There's no part of that was optimistic. That wasn't cautious.
No. I told you, I still think we have the team to go and win the league. I also said at the beginning of this episode that Villa is going to be our second biggest challenger to that league. City is still Cityan, but Villa are a bit of a dark horse.
I would be more concerned about City at this point in time.
That's what I'm saying. I am more concerned about City, but I think Villa and I think City's here. Villa's a little below them.
You're going to be tied for second on points come the end of Tuesday night.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't feel strongly enough to like defute that or fight back. Like
Ollie Watkins played 30 minutes the other night.
He looked.
As much as I think that was like a tactical decision from Unai Emery to start Maaland over Watkins, like I also think that he took a look at the Arsenal game and was just sort of like, if we can scrap by with a point at Stamford Bridge, and I can not have Ollie Watkins needing to basically be in a cryo chamber until Tuesday, then that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, I think that was really well done.
He's pushing all the right buttons.
You could see the tides turn on that 60th minute substitution because more people subbed on with Watkins, but he just the man knows how to score goals in a way that our strikers I haven't seen too much of.
It's true. I've been disappointed by Gyökeres. I thought he was going to be.
I do want to say that like
he's an ogre. He's got cement in his feet when he runs. The man is not a proper athlete when it comes to a Premier League striker. He's just not. He stumbles around. And I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. What I've been saying, Mitch, what I've been talking about, the fallacy of what? The fallacy of a proper number 9. Mm-hmm. You guys have proven that you don't need one in order to succeed, particularly the way that you guys play. And I just don't think that you guys had to go and spend that money on Gyökeres. I think that you guys were able to figure it out without him. Yep. And I think that it was a waste of money. And I think that now you guys are trying to sort of like, not revolve your team around a number 9 who's not worth it, but I do think that there's a level of like, well, we got to get him going, and like it affects like the mood of the locker room and it affects the play on the field. It's like if Gyökeres isn't getting involved, then what the fuck is he on the field for? I'd rather have Mikel Merino up there and like at least he can get like combine and get involed.
Mikel Merino is a proper footballer. You can put that guy in between.
Gyökeres is not.
No. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Gyökeres is a Timu version of Haaland. That's what he is.
Yes, he is. Yes, exactly. Like play style, the same lumbering type of run. Yes, I agree. I don't think that he is our goal scorer. Like I said earlier, he provides so much value in the attention that he draws and the press that he can lead. He has an engine on him. He's probably not good for 90 minutes. He's probably good for 60.
He's got a Prius engine on him. I'm not afraid of a Prius engine. It doesn't like bring anything.
But the dude is like a big lumbering striker that's going to press the shit out of you when he's on the field. Like that has value, and we've seen how many turnovers that we've gotten in the final third this year. We've had real chances from that, and that starts with the pressure that Gyökeres brings. The issue comes when we've taken him from being a goal scorer to being kind of the muscle and being the brute.
Hey, listen, man, if that's what you want, your big money number 9.
It's not what I want. It's the reality. Like that. Like I think that's the unfortunate reality of what our attack looks like right now. When Jesus comes on or when Kai Havertz comes back from injury, I think it looks a little bit different. But for right now, I genuinely think that's his instructions and his role. And if he's able to kick the ball in the net, that's great as well. But I think we're okay with the value that he's adding right now. I do think it's less than what we had originally thought.
Fair enough. Sam, I know what you're about to say because Fred Rogers brings up an interesting point in the chat right now. And he's saying, Gyökeres, can't give him time. Verts, hey guys, it's a new league. Give him time to adjust. Those are two completely different things. That's comparing apples to cantaloupes, okay? Because number one, Gyökeres, like, clearly is not having any impact on the game for my money, okay?
Not true.
Stop. Let me talk. Verts, on the other hand, anybody who watches him understands that he is a baller and that he actually can impact the game. They play two very different positions, and Florian Verts has to get on the ball. There's a level of timing that comes to it. Gyökeres is just sort of I look at him, I'm like, this guy just doesn't look like a fucking athlete, and I don't I just don't enjoy watching it. I don't enjoy watching him play. Florian Verts, on the other hand, and obviously I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan, and you can see the Liverpool scarf in the background of my shot here, but Florian Verts is clearly an epic footballer, and he's probably going to absolutely ball out in the World Cup this summer. Whether or not he leads Liverpool to a title this year remains to be seen. Probably not. But Liverpool will be 7 points back of the title by the end of the week. I promise you that. Promise you.
I think it's two separate conversations to say who's a better footballer and who's had a bigger impact on their team since their signing. I think obviously you said
I think that Florian Verts's the start of his evaluation should be when Mo left for AFCON.
Why?
Just because he started playing well then?
No, well, I mean, I think that there's a linear relationship between the two. I'm not saying that there's statistics.
Okay, then I decide that when Gyökeres starts getting balls into his head, that's when we can start evaluating him.
I don't play that way. We're literally starting from scratch in terms of a game plan while we are taking a player who doesn't defend and sending him away to an international tournament, and we could actually start to play football now. Excellent.
I think he.
You know something, Fred Rogers? Is this Mikey's burner account? Because you're pissing me off with every comment that you make. This is ridiculous.
I love it. There's some spicy Discord chat going on right now. Because NJF88 did point out Verts is 22 and Gyökeres is 27. So, there's a different there. And Fred said fair. Excellent.
Yeah, one's a good footballer and one's not. That's also the big difference between the two.
All right, other games quickly coming up this double match day week. We've got Brentford hosting Spurs on Thursday, which is sort of extra notable because obviously Brentford is where Thomas Frank came from. Brentford is ahead of Tottenham in the standings. Frank is obviously on the hot seat, or it seems to be anyway. And so if we go to Brentford and lose that game, that would be a tough look. The optics will be bad for our boy Thomas Frank. Also, City hosting Chelsea on Sunday should be an interesting one, and also the Leeds United, which is a big rivalry game, which has not happened too much lately. All right, we'll leave it there. Halftime, or let's just call it water break, since Tyler hates it when I call it halftime, and we're already past the halfway mark. So, water break. We got a pop quiz for you boys this week. Again, I want to see your hands. Nobody's Googling. Right now, there's 5 players on the U.S. men's national team, or possible U.S. men's national team, listed as having odds for being the best scorer, the top scorer at World Cup 2026. 5 players are listed at the moment on several
out of the whole field.
Whole field, all American soccer players, you and me, Tyler included, even Tommy. But 5 players are currently listed for odds, best scorer at the tournament. What are those 5? I won't even ask for a minute.
Pulisic,
boyfriend.
What's that?
I said Sydney Sweeney's boyfriend.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Balogun.
Pepe.
Pepe? You're going to put Pepe in there?
Yep.
Okay. Tim Weah? Four?
He's holding up 4. That's just how many players we've
I'm not
named.
saying you're right. I was just going, you've got 4.
Geez.
Do you not want to put Tim White in there? I mean, he's one of only 2 players to score a World Cup goal for the U.S. in the past.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. He's gonna. Yeah. All right. We'll go.
Well, hold on a second. Let's think about the next one, because I'm not sure that we're going to have Pepe and Balogun on there at the same time, because if one is the top scorer, then the other one's not going to be. And I don't know if that's how the odds work, but
Well, no. I mean, they're probably both super long odds anyway.
Agreed.
But I'm saying those are the 1A and 1B strikers for the U.S. men's national team. The 5th player that we pick might be like a Haji Wright or something, or
Malik Tillman.
Okay, I don't hate that.
I'm not sold on Malik Tillman. It's not Gio.
No, it's not Gio.
Weston McKennie.
Honestly, yeah, I don't hate that, because
he finds himself in those spots for Juve.
Yeah,
and
he contributes for Juve every single week. I like McKennie as the 5th. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Lock that in?
You guys, I liked your rationale and your explanation was good. So I'm going to give you a definite passing grade. No Weah, no McKennie. But I like where your heads were at on that. Haji Wright was the 4th one. So you were right about Pulisic, Balogun, and Pepe.
Yep. Haji
Wright, 4th, and Gio Reyna, 5th.
Really?
I need to be a Vegas bookie. I like that's my second career. I need to be the chief soccer bookmaker at DraftKings. That should be my second career.
It was when I saw Reyna that I was like, okay, that's going to be the pop quiz. So that was because I knew you weren't going to get that right, because that's not your fault. All right, move on. Round the world AFCON. I mean, has anybody? I know if Mikey was on here, he'd have a whole bunch of thoughts about all the games he's been watching in Mozambique and Zimbabwe and Botswana and whatever. I've been watching here and there. None of the games sort of scream tons of goals, so I haven't really been betting it. So I haven't been following it quite as closely as I might otherwise be. But the tournament itself seems like it's going well. I see a lot of highlights. It's the usual, like there's some incredible goals. There's some wild challenges. There's a lot of fun being had in the stands. I don't know, any games or highlights or narratives you guys want to call out?
I haven't been watching because I don't have beIN Sports. But the golazos that I've seen, just you don't see those week in and week out in the Premier League. You do at AFCON.
Yes. All right. And as Mikey said, wait till
Mo Salah 2-game winners. In the first 2 group stage games. They tied 0-0 today, but
yeah,
it's fair. He's coming back. Hit the ground running.
I don't want him back. We don't need him back. I'm happy to divorce after the. This is like, we're only staying together until the kids get out of the house for college anyway. That was that.
This is for the kids. All right,
I don't know from experience if anybody wants to know.
I just love it. We get a little nugget of Tyler's personal life here and there.
Mitch brought in, he's been known to get back together with an ex. That was the best one of the episode so far.
That's true. That was if people even knew the backstories and all that, it'd be better. All right, moving on. We'll skip news and notes. We'll get to MLS soon enough. We don't need to get into it right now. Let's hit stoppage time and put a bow on this episode. So, as always, we got to start with Ivan Toney's best bets, where at least I don't have to wear the dunks cap this week. I went 2 for 4 on the week. Not great at all. But 2 for 4, you'll notice. That means one of the games for the second week in a row was postponed. So clearly the soccer gods are trying to send me some sort of message. But you know what? I'm not listening, because you know what? There is money to be made. And so I've done my research. Unfortunately, we're still in the winter break or the festive period where the games are. There's some interesting ones. So you gotta dig deep here. So Wednesday we are going to the Welsh First Division, where Connah's Quay Nomads are playing TNS, New Saints. That's over 2.5. Thursday we're going to the Championship, where Leicester is visiting Sheffield United. two of the newly relegated teams, although they're not having great seasons this time around. That's minus 110. Friday, we're going to the Saudi First Division, Saudi Pro League. Al Ali, the Jeddah version, is hosting Al Nasser. They of Ronaldo fame. And Saturday, we will go to the Israeli First Division, where Ironi Tiberias is hosting Maccabi Netanya. Maccabi Netanya. And finally, we will go to the Premier League, where Manchester City is hosting Chelsea on Sunday. And I think that one might be the only one I'm going over 3.5 on. Okay, so there we go. Overtrained 5-a-side Wednesday through Sunday. Hopefully none of those games are postponed. And you know what? I'm due for a big week. So if you're going to join me, probably don't. Just fade me. You know how it goes. All right, Mitchell, what do you got for us best bet-wise?
3 for you. We got both teams to score in Chelsea-Bournemouth. Last time these two teams played, it was 0-0, so that fixture's due for some goals. Newcastle, money line against Burnley. As we've discussed, Burnley sucks. And then Nigeria, money line against Uganda. These are all on Tuesday, altogether plus 440.
Oh, casual 440. No commas there. I like it. All right, Tyler, what do you got?
I would just like to point out that I know that I haven't been on the pod a ton over the past month and a half due to wedding, honeymoon, and other excursions. But we have a good friend in the Discord who's keeping track of all the best bets and the records. I'm currently in second place in the plus. So
you did. You hit that one parlay, and you've been living large off
it. If you look at Sam's overall record, he's like 45 and 72 because his overtrain consists of a 5-passenger car every single time. So like it's
I'm way better than that. It's just been a rough.
You're not better than
5 or 6
weeks. I almost
weeks.
think the numbers that I just said were like spot on. You can go back and look in the Discord. But anyway, and Mitch, stop calling out my Jets in a non kosher fashion. In a Discord channel where it doesn't belong. If you want to talk about the Jets, go to off topic. It was not topical. Okay. I don't want to hear anything else. Nope. I'm not hearing anything. All right.
Okay.
Here's my parlay. Chelsea money line at home against Bournemouth. Villa money line plus 600 at the Emirates to take all 3 points. And then Man City money line on the road for a little redemption against Sunderland at the Stadium of Light for a casual 14.88. That is what we're looking at.
Always. There's got to be a comma in there. Listen, I can't knock it. You're still
I'm like Nicki Minaj. If it ain't got a comment on it, like, are we really? What are we looking at? Why are we even shopping if it doesn't have a comment on it?
Oh, boy.
Aren't you unemployed?
Oh, that was diabolical.
Sorry.
Oh, we move on. He took it personally.
I would have left the episode if it wasn't for the fact that I know that would have royally screwed up for production purposes. But anyway, I'm just going to sign off now because I'm dead and there's no coming back.
No, give us your goals. Give us your goal before you do.
Choose the goal for the best burn of all time. Goodbye. I love you.
Oh, that was unfortunate.
Oh God. I'm actively trying to find him work, so I can make that jab.
As Adam Furtado said in the Discord, a stay-at-home husband is a job. Fair point. Way to back him up. All right, Mitch, what do you got for us goals wise?
It is my go for this week is England fans in late June, because on June 27th at 5 p.m., England play Panama at MetLife Stadium in the World Cup. That'll be a fun one. But also, on June 26th and 27th, the Darts World Series comes to Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
New York City, during that weekend, is going to be the most English place outside of London, and it's going to be terrifying and a great time. So, if any England fans are listening to this and want me to hang out with them as like your token American for the weekend, please hit me up. I am free June 26th and 27th for either darts or football that weekend. And you got a couch to stay on if you want to. Just let me hang out with you guys.
That's good. I mean, I was going to say Mikey is going to be an England fan. He's pretty
Mikey's
much
more English than American at this point. He's probably going to be a full-on Three Lions guy by the summer.
Exactly. He's already said he's rooting against America. That turncoat. Wow. Yeah, that is going to be a fun little time to be in New York. I may actually couch surf for you.
By all means.
If none of the actual English do. All right. I'm going to give my honorable mention to Robert Lewandowski, who in an absolutely insane situation, he just openly admitted that Barcelona asked him not to score goals during the final run-in in the spring of 2023. I think Barcelona had already confirmed, they had clinched the title. So it's not like, that was up for grabs, but like the sporting integrity that you basically have just taken a watery dump on. It's mind-blowing that they did this, and it's mind-blowing that he admitted it while he's still a Barcelona player. I could see it like he's going to go on a podcast like 10 years later and be like, oh yeah, Barcelona told us not to spend money. And by the way, the story here is Barcelona were the broke boys. It was broke Alona back there. They were pulling all the levers they could. They had to find money to register players, like literally every dollar, probably every euro counted at that time. And they would have had to pay Bayern Munich a rather large, I think $2.5 million bonus if Lewandowski had scored, I think it was 2 more goals. And so they're like, yeah, can you do us a solid and just like not score? Which puts him in a just insane position. It's just a crazy situation, and it feels like this is breaking all sorts of, like, if not real rules and laws, at least like ethical and moral like laws. They're just killing. So it just feels so icky. I can't believe it happened. I can't believe Lewandowski admitted it. And it'll be interesting to see. I assume, like everything else, that this is just going to get washed away, and like Barcelona's going to keep on keeping on. But that's sad if true.
Was that during a year in which they won the league?
They did. They allegedly they had already clinched the league at this point. I don't even know if that changes anything. I mean, it does, because like, the integrity of the competition or the tournament or the league is not in question, but the integrity of those games that Lewandowski was playing in is clearly in question. So I don't know. It's just an icky situation. But easy goa, running away, is our boy, the baby Jesus, Christian Pulisic, who had himself quite a week. So not only did he score game winner against Hellas Verona and solidified his spot atop the Serie A goal scoring chart, albeit I believe even with Lautaro Martinez from Inter, but he had to go on social media and make a public statement saying, no, I am not dating Sydney Sweeney. Now, I know he didn't actually cite Sydney Sweeney, but it was very clear, given the virality of the rumors of him and Sydney Sweeney perhaps hanging out or dating or whatever. We don't know what the situation is with his relationship. I know that he was openly dating. I can't remember her name. She was a golfer, I think.
Alexa's her name.
Okay, and so I don't know what the situation is there. Some people are saying there might be some pictures being deleted on Instagram. We don't know the situation there. We do know that Pulisic came out and said, no, I'm not dating like the most sought after Hollywood, vixen out there. He's got priorities, right? And that's bagging goals, not shagging tens. Shout out to Christian Pulisic. Your head's in the right place. Hopefully this ridiculous rumor is not having any impact on your social life and your headspace. But I love it. Like it. If this says anything, this says that either Sydney Sweeney or more likely her people, they know ball, because like they realize Pulisic is gonna be like this icon in about 6 months, a World Cup champion on his home turf, and they want to get in there early. They're buying low, not that low, but they're buying lower than it's gonna be 6 months from now. So shout out to Sydney Sweeney, who apparently knows ball. There we go. Shout out to everybody in the Discord. You guys are the best. Everybody's in the chat. You guys, we love you. Anthony, everybody else, Furtado brothers, etc., etc. Mitch, Tyler, dearly departed Tyler Terrence. Love you guys, Mitchell or Mikey and Tommy. Tommy might be back at some point. That guy, he finishes the season and then he like disappears. I think he's just living in England or something. I don't know. Anyway, love you guys. We'll be back next week. Bigger, better, maybe faster, stronger. See you there.